You are listening to the Krooked Hearts Podcast. All right, welcome back here. Our second episode here with the Krooked Hearts Podcast. I am Andy the Pie Deal. Very excited about this episode. We have some local talent that we will be showcasing here today. Dusty Santamaria+Moira Ichiban, two local staples here in town. They are a couple in more ways than one. They wrapped up a DIY tour and came back to Temecula to just regroup. We were able to be fortunate enough to book them and get them to sit down and talk with us about their avant-garde voodoo wop sound, as they put it. We were able to talk about how they met up, trials of booking shows, which they've done all around the world, and just an overall introspective of how a couple/band can survive in this crazy world of art and music, and just trying to make a go of it. Not only does the podcast feature local talent, we also incorporate awareness of events. Temecula itself has many exciting events. As we all know, these are year-round things that happen here in town, such as, music performances, food and wine festivals, and of course, the famous Rod Run with the awesome cars that we get to see down there, Old Town Temecula. We had the exciting opportunity to be part of a really fun event happening this Sunday, September 30th. Now, this is the second annual Sunday Fun Day scavenger hunt, and we will be giving away thousands of dollars in prizes here. This is a free event here in Temecula and Marietta. Make sure to check out at Erica the Piercer on Instagram and Facebook for details on how to play. She has already given out 2 clues for the grand prize, but is giving all my subscribers a second chance to get in on the clues. At the end of the podcast, I will be giving out a code word, and you must message her the code word through the social media at Erica the Piercer, and she will send you the clues, so make sure you listen for the code word at the end of the episode. Once again, I thank you for tuning in. This was a really great conversation. As I said, we always like to showcase the local talent here, but this band has toured all around the world. And they get to share some of their experiences with us here on Pie and the Krooked Heart Podcast. Thank you for tuning in, and enjoy. All right.
Oh, that's yours. That makes sense.
How are we doing, you two?
You're silly. You're doing great. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful.
Thanks for having us here.
No, thank you for coming. I really appreciate it. So, I heard practice. We're having a good day. We did yoga. We really started the day off good over here.
Yeah.
Excelente.
Morning ritual. It was our first yoga class in about 4 months.
Great.
Sunglasses on the radio.
Yeah.
All right, so let me get my phone. Okay, I got that. We're going to take some photos. Okay. All right. So we're starting our podcast here, and I would like you to introduce yourself, please, and thank you.
Well, congratulations on the podcast. It's a cool idea.
Thank you.
My name is Dusty Santamaria.
And my name is Moira Ichiban.
We perform in a duo, under our names, Dusty Santamaria and Moira Ichiban. It is a long band name, but we are sticking to it we have our reasons.
Yes. Stick to your guns, my friend.
Thank you.
Yes. You have a vision.
We are currently based here in Temecula, California. We have self-released records and books of poetry and zines, and we have just returned from a DIY tour that took us as far east as New Orleans, Louisiana, as far north as Seattle, and then across the pond to Europe. We did a 3-week European tour, and we are thrilled because we've been working at this a long time, and it actually kind of worked. It manifested, and we did well, and we made good connections, and all the foundation is set to do it again. And to,
awesome.
And to actually,
we learned a lot.
Yeah. And this is our life.
Cool. Tell me kind of what about the band? What style of music you guys play?
Okay. It's very much rooted in early American rock and roll, but it has like a surrealistic and kind of a it has a surrealistic and dreamlike approach to it, meaning that it's just there'll be beautiful melodies that kind of fall into kind of it sounds like it'll be like a high school dance and then a car being crushed at a junkyard with like all with a real lyrical kind of like very intense vocal delivery, I think. Something like that. It's there's a town in Oregon that wrote an article about our show during this tour, and they coined the term voodoo wop, which I love. So we've been using that. We've been saying that it's avant garage voodoo wop.
I dig that.
Yeah.
That's cool. Definitely.
Yeah.
So tell me how you guys meet each other.
How
did the path come to?
Hey, Dusty is he's better at telling this story than I am. I always tell it too quickly. But we met in Portland, Oregon, but we didn't really properly meet for the longest time. We were kind of just orbiting around each other for years.
Tell how we met.
And then, how did we meet? You contacted me on the internet, and I came to one of your shows, and then you bought a painting from me, and then we went and broke plates.
Yeah.
In the alley. Yeah, he's so much better at it.
I'll try and sew this up quickly. So, all right. Well, I was living in Portland for 10 years. I moved back to Temecula because I had, really, truth be told, I moved back to Temecula because I could live rent-free for a while. And so I did that.
As artists do.
Yeah, and it was a really begrudging decision. I did not want to come back here. I didn't. Like, I spent my entire youth trying to get away from here. I thought that there's nothing here that I wanted to be a part of.
It comes full circle, my friend. It just it happens that way.
So we'll come back to that later. So anyway, but I moved here, and I couldn't really let go of my life in Portland. I was spending a lot of time on the internet. I came across Moira's she's a painter, and I came across some of her paintings on Facebook, and I contacted her. I was going to Portland to play a concert. I wanted to buy one of her paintings. I also was getting really intrigued with who this person was, this, internet crush. I met her to buy the painting. We hung out, we discussed, and she seemed really angry.
I was agitated. I had a lot of like really physical energy that I wasn't even aware of that he pointed out to me.
And I asked if she knew how to make a sigil. And a sigil is if people aren't familiar, a sigil is a technique that comes from Austin Osman Spare, who is a chaos magician. Essentially, it is a way of making a drawing symbol of a desire and planting it into your unconscious mind. That's the short answer, the short explanation. Taught her how to make one of those. We made that, and we were getting along, and I asked if she wanted to break something, and she said, yes, I do. So we went back to where she lived in Portland at her apartment. We got some old china that she had in her cupboard. We went to an alleyway, and we took the plates, and we set an intention. And with the intention, we took and we hurled the plate towards the concrete wall. And as it shattered, that was supposed to let,
the
manifest
energy out for that intention.
Exactly.
Cool.
And then it was really cool. I remember. Can I tell the part?
I love when you tell the part.
So on the third plate, the first two were kind of just like fun and just we wanted to hear the sound of smashing plates. But on the third one, the sun was setting. And Moira thought very hard, and I still don't know what her intention was, but she thought really hard about it. And in my memory, it plays like slow motion. It played like slow motion then too. But she threw the plate, and I forgot a really important part. Before she threw the plate, when she was thinking about it, the wind blew, and she was wearing a dress, and the wind blew her dress completely up, kind of like exposing her. And that was a source of embarrassment, but also kind of a cool nod from the universe that there was like, it was comfortable, it was okay. It was like, okay, you could be naked you two people can be naked in front of each other, both physically and spiritually and intellectually, and that's the point, right? Okay, So then she throws the plate. It shatters into 3 perfect triangles, like just perfect, man. There's these beautiful kind of 3 pieces that we.
There was a sign there for sure.
Yeah, I mean that's what we took. That's what we took it as. Definitely, we have that plate still on our altar at home. But
Awesome.
That's when we met. Shortly thereafter, I was touring the country as just like a guy with guitar, singer songwriter type thing, and playing some real toilets, honestly. Playing some pretty cool venues, but some real toilets. But she came to meet me, and then we decided to run away together and start a band because really. We wanted to just live the art life and
there's no romanticism here at all.
well,
Yeah, our story is pretty. It's been boring from the start.
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
It's not a book. It's not a story.
right.
Jeez Louise.
Well, there's practical stuff that comes
Yeah.
into that too.
I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot actually.
Yeah, I mean you have to make your living and all of this stuff, but
Yeah, and creating a band, it's kind of, I almost hate to say it, but realistically, it is kind of like starting your own business.
yeah, oh definitely,
So,
absolutely. But
that's been interesting.
But it's something that you will, like it's starting your own business that you want to have. There are, I mean, that was the Europe tour that we did was 6 months. 6 months of book, like just.
Oh yeah, I mean, 4 really intensive months of booking for that, but probably 6.
It was so much time on the computer, and it was like, oh yeah.
What we got?
Oh.
Oh, it's too far away. Thank you.
It's like sinking.
Oh,
I'll cut all this out.
thank you.
We'll
Okay.
edit
Okay. Cut.
Okay.
Hit the cutting room floor.
Yeah.
Europe. We were on Europe.
Europe, yeah. So that took about between 4 and 6 months to book that.
Yeah. There's like 600 emails with maybe
Oh,
30
God.
responses.
Yeah.
It's just a lot of perseverance.
Yeah. And not really just not taking anything too personally.
Yeah.
That's a highly important element, I think, to believe in what you're doing, but to not pay too much attention to what other people are saying about it or to like everyone's response to it, because ultimately not everybody is going to be into it, and that's fine. You don't want for everybody to be into it.
Yeah.
Because that probably means it's garbage.
Yeah.
Honestly. So yeah, it's been very interesting navigating that part.
Yeah.
Even more interesting, even more of an educational process, and deeply personal and challenging has been learning how to be creative together in relationship, I think.
Well, tell me a little bit more about that. Tell me more about like the inspiration between not only the music and your guys' connection together, but the vision of where you have taken that. And you know what? Don't be afraid to get into any little nitty gritty. You know, I mean, I like to focus, and what I am going to focus with this podcast is a little bit more on, people like to have like the polished version of like the cool image of everything that's so good. And I think that getting into the bad really is what leads to the good, whether fault starts and trials and tribulations and things that kind of like, man, this and this and this, but that's what leads to the good stuff, you know, of where you guys are now an up and running machine, gigging, and you got things rolling, but it's not always roses, you know what I mean? So if you don't mind, I mean, if there is any aspect of that, divulge, please, let people hear a real story as opposed to some polished thing, I mean, I know you guys, what is the vision behind what drew the music, the style, the story of all of that? How did this all come to be as far as that goes? We know how you guys met now.
Right. Yeah, well, I've always been a visual artist, and I was feeling really drawn. I mean, I've always loved music and loved singing, but it was a very private event for me. To sing was a very private thing. I didn't like doing it in front of people, but it was something that was kind of bubbling up inside of me that I did want to express myself more.
So you weren't comfortable doing it in front of people per se in the beginning?
No, it was too personal, too vulnerable. But I was feeling ready for that. So there was, an invitation there. And I had always wanted to be in relationship with someone who I could explore my creativity with.
Relate to.
Yeah, I hadn't really had that in the past. Definitely not in a situation where I was sharing that part of my life with someone.
Yeah, that's a hard find.
It is, yeah. And
sure.
and it also brings up a lot of difficulties. It brings up a lot of like shadowy stuff, because here we are, we're coming together with these parts of ourselves that are so deeply personal and
Intimate.
and we're very protective of them. And then there's also like ego stuff that, you know, some of it's conscious, some of it's unconscious.
Right.
And
Which really works well in performance mode. Like when you're playing shows, those kind of possessions can work really well on stage. But when writing and recording, it's a
showcasing is one thing, but the artistic mode of like creating can always be maybe.
Yeah, you gotta have more of have more control over it at that point.
Right.
When performing, it's kind of cool if you kind of just let it come out and then just like let it explode, because that. Well, I mean, you have to control it then too, but it's palpable, you know. Everybody knows what's going on all the time, even when they don't know.
Right.
You know, like in a room when you're sharing space. That's the beauty of playing shows. I mean, that's the beauty of playing shows. In my opinion, music shouldn't. I mean, music should be in small places. Like, most music, I think, works better, you know, in very small venues.
So you like that more intimate
stage.
feeling, connecting with people that are in a small room with a smaller crowd that really you can grab them.
Oh, that's my I mean,
forte,
that's I would never really want to play a theater or a stadium or anything like that. I love small clubs and like house. If I could survive the rest of my life touring the world playing only house shows, I would be one happy camper.
More
like that would be
yeah.
that'd be awesome. And that's kind of the way it's going. That's kind of the way we're working it. But I'd also like to be comfortable. So for me, the how did we get here? Trials and tribulations. So my whole life, I think I knew that I was destined to be an artist, but I don't think I admitted that to myself until I was an adult. I think that it was
something lingering throughout maybe childhood, young adulthood.
I think I always waited.
I
was always waiting for like the right person to kind of come by and be like, "Hey, kid, you got a lot of talent. Here's a record deal.
Right.
Like, here's a thing." You know,
that's how it was in the '90s, though. You know, there was the big dreams of getting signed or having someone discover you.
Right.
You know,
but even then,
those days are long gone now. It's more a DIY. But
even then, though, I think that like. At that point, I still wasn't doing it. I was still just kind of like dreaming about it, and I wasn't doing enough to like take initiative. I don't think.
Well, as youngsters, we don't know
to
take that reign. You know, we think it's just going to come to us if we just keep playing and keep writing.
Sure,
it'll happen.
Right.
You know, someone will recognize my talent and whisk me off to Never Never Land. You know?
So it's cool now. I mean in the age that we're living in, and with the advent of internet and social media and the DIY ethics, that's really cool. But then the juggling act is to actually keep the creation pure and interesting. And then
the saturation as well as a factor of being able to also with that stand out.
Sure.
Have that creative thing be something that's going to be catching someone's attention.
And the beautiful thing about that, though, is it makes the entire process the art form. So like you are like the way that marketing and business people say, like, you are marketing yourself. I mean, it's totally
what's your brand?
Exactly.
Right.
It's true, but what's cool about that, like, what is your brand is kind of like, what is your essence? You know? Well, like if you bring your essence and you put that into everything, and it's like it's an act of
like putting
creation.
Your spirit of your soul out on display. And that's what's going to sell you, really. In the end is who you are and what you stand for.
Exactly.
And not necessarily always the music or the chords you're playing, but like this world of, you know.
It's like the cult of personality. You know, I mean, so much. That's where we are with the performing arts, and I love that. I think it's a fun game. It's a fun show to. it's a fun dance and carnival and mask to wear. Like we're all wearing masks, and it's just make yours interesting and take it off.
But it's cool for me as a outsider on your guys' thing to see the art that you guys display at your shows and stuff like that. Like that's a whole nother aspect to it that not a lot of artists are interested in and or want to be involved with. I mean, I've respected a lot of bands like Pearl Jam and some of those bands that the bass player, he's the main artist. They have full control over like what posters, shirts, artwork, all that stuff. I've always been an artist as well, and that draws a certain aspect to me that I have always respected with artists when it's not just there's the music, but then there's like the brand, and then having a little more control over that, and wanting to have control over that, and present certain ideas and visuals, you know, graphic, whether it be graphic or just drawing, painting, that kind of thing, the organicness of all that. This is something that's drawn me to you guys, and seeing that, that's really cool, that you guys have that aspect and have that want to have that control over that part of it as well.
Oh yeah, designing the record cover is one of the most fun things I've ever had, or all the record covers that I've done, but the one with Moira was really special. It was cool.
It was really difficult to make decisions together too. Actually, it was very emotional, but I'm very happy with how it turned out. It was definitely like, not a place I wanted to be in for a while when we were trying to make decisions and finish it. And then kind of at the end, everything, we each made some artistic concessions and came together to create a singular vision. But there's compromise.
Yeah,
in these situations.
That record, it's called Love Under Will. It's the first thing that we made together, but that that drove us in, financially, because we self-financed the whole thing, and we were determined to put it on vinyl. The record label that we have is called Voodoo It Yourself. That's kind of our.
Did you guys start that record label, or is that?
Yeah, I've been using the Voodoo It Yourself moniker for like 10 or 15 years, awesome. But we got the rights to the domain name on the website and stuff. I have plans to incorporate it actually, and actually make it a thing, an entity.
Right.
That record though, we had absolutely no money left after that. We had been working here doing different jobs, catering, and I was working the produce market and driving for Uber and yada yada.
Right.
And we saved up for a really long time. We went to Oakland and Seattle. We made that record, and then we did the art after it was done and got it pressed to vinyl. What's my point? My point is
that's quite a process right there, that whole thing. You wrote, recorded the songs together, went through that process. You guys saved up the money to go to these places that aren't local. I mean, going to Seattle or whatever, and then working together on the artwork. I mean, that's a feat in itself right there. And you're crossing into, spiritual, physical, mentally and physically with all that. That's a road, that's a path, that's a travel right there in its own right. Not to mention all the shows that have been played and all the, adventures that you guys have been on. But just to say that alone is, should be honored for sure right there.
Thanks.
Definitely.
Yeah, it felt so good to hold that record in our hands when all was said and done finally.
Yeah.
One of the best feelings is when people buy it at the merch booth.
For
sure. That's like buying the vinyl at the merch booth feels so good. Because there's not enough they're not in stores, and I think they're on Amazon and stuff.
You can't get them in. Have you tried? Down the street
but we should. I'd like to do a couple
record stores here in town. Come on.
Yeah.
I'm sure they'd be interested in local
work on
talent
that.
for sure.
We definitely should do that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things we should do, need to do, will do.
On it. We're getting on it, but we so
I would say do that. I'm sure people would want to support. There's people that want to support local, so that's what this whole podcast is about. So
cool.
So
when this airs, you guys will be working on that, and we may be promoting another aspect for you guys.
That'd be great.
Thank you. Yeah,
for
cool.
sure.
We'd take what we can get.
Totally.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels surprisingly good to be back here.
Very surprisingly.
It's
It is kind of home.
in a way.
Yeah, I think we've been very reluctant to call it home. And we've been traveling and then feeling kind of, I've been feeling this intense aversion to getting stuck here.
But maybe that's why you guys want to take it out on the road, huh?
Well, right now it's really actually working pretty well to be doing this traveling, touring, creating, while we're back here, having this kind of place of stability where we can save and
regroup
and get some momentum, because it's tough, man. It's tough to it requires a lot of focus, and booking a tour, it's like a fucking full-time job.
You're good.
Yeah,
okay.
We're not,
it's a full-time job.
Don't edit yourself. We want the real you here.
Okay.
You're good.
So I mean, actually, I've felt really grateful to not have more work than I have, which is such an odd thing to say. It's like usually, you're kind of scrambling to get like the right job and work as many hours, because the saving element has been really important too. But this requires so much time and attention.
But being on your own, doing the tour and being out is a lot more work than anybody would really know. They think that it's almost like a vacation, and you're partying, you're on the road, you're touring, you're playing shows, it's all good.
Right.
They don't know the behind the scenes aspect of the booking, the traveling, the hours on the car, getting from gig to gig, and the gas and the food and the expenses and navigating through all of that is sometimes stressful, and it's work. It really is
a lot of
work. And people think it's just all fun and games, but
it's really cool work. But it's really challenging.
It's satisfying for sure.
It's exhausting though.
I don't really think
incredibly exhausting.
Johnny Come Lately, I doesn't think really know the behind the scenes aspect to all that.
No, I mean, how could someone unless they experience it firsthand?
I think my folks actually even said when we got back,
they did.
like, "Oh, did you have a good vacation?"
How was your vacation?
Oh my God.
We were like,
That's
right.
such a strange way to look at it, because it is some of the hardest work I've ever done, but the most rewarding.
Right.
And we had a hell of a lot of fun too.
Well, I'm sure there's moments where maybe it feels partly vacation-y at moments, but
and we played.
There's a lot of work.
We wanted to keep some days for just exploration and having checking places out. Like we love. I discovered that I love Berlin. I went there this was my first time in Berlin. Dusty's been there before. But we wanted to spend time there. We ended up spending a few days in Venice, which was totally unexpected. That was a spur of the moment decision. And so we played 13 shows out of 24 days in Europe.
But the whole tour was what, 51?
No, I think it was 43 shows. Yeah.
Yeah, I think something like that. The whole Love Underworld tour, US and Europe, was in the.
So you're gigging most of the trip.
Oh yeah. We made made it a point every night to kind of explain the position and the situation that we were into and what we were doing, because I find that like that kind of transparency from performer to audience about like, look, this is how we're surviving in the world. We made all this stuff, these zines and these books and these records, and like it's we're just trying to get from town to town with just bring it to him straight. And then usually just like without, I mean,
it's not a sob story, but it's like
not at all. Just like
it's a story.
And then, but it's cool because so many people that happen to be well off, that happen to be at the show, are just like they respect that people are, I guess, brave enough to even kind of like go out on a limb and just be like, well, I'm gonna make it work one way or the other. We're gonna survive. So
leap of faith.
Exactly. And it worked pretty well. We got a very generous donation from a patron who believed in what we were doing, which has helped us exponentially.
Great.
Which is gonna actually, that was really cool.
Good for you.
That was really cool.
That gives us a little leg up with getting this next recording done. Instead of putting it on the old credit card.
Well, it's got to feel good to know someone supported you in that way.
It really does.
It feels great.
Yeah.
It's just kind of confirmation to keep going further.
You're not the only ones that believe in yourselves. There's somebody else.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, my my kind of it's not a mantra, but I'm calling it a mantra right now that I've been saying to myself is like, I'm going to succeed at this or like die in the streets trying. And either way, I'm going to be happy because I'm being honest to myself. I'm not gonna. I can't fake it.
Yeah, you're
longer,
past the point of no return, as they say.
Right. Yeah.
So
you're unqualified for anything else at this point, which is beautiful. It's like having knuckle tattoos and not being able to work at a shitty corporate job.
Totally.
It's gonna happen.
You've saved yourself.
You know, what's interesting though is coming back to Temecula after living in Portland and having lived for a brief time in New Orleans and coming back as I'm 35 now, and like I left when I was 19 or something. And like after getting over the whole like ego bruise of like, oh, I'm coming back to my hometown that I said I was never gonna look at again, and I'm living with my family for the time being, which has actually turned out to be quite beautiful and really cool. But it was like it's that kind of dialogue as somebody who has lived in urban areas and had some wacky ways of surviving in the world, like wacky jobs and world experience. It's like the conversation between 15-year-old me and then the other elements of me that are going on that are like creating this new me is a really cool thing, because I could step right back into my, as I'm sure you can, step right back into my 15-year-old consciousness and and be that person. But then I could step into my 25-year-old self and just kind of you're just accumulating all these different selves, you know, and they're all there and they're all genuine and authentic. But so the point with that is that coming back here has kind of like lit the same fire under my ass that I had when I was a teenager about like, man, you know, well, I mean, the world doesn't really need any more music, really, honestly. Like, I mean, maybe they do, but what the world needs is people that that are being honest with themselves in the direction that they're taking their life, and that translates, and that's what it is for me, you know. And I think that's the way that and even being at the like caliber that I am, not being successful really ultimately, not really having any fame, but still being like having been on like the bottom like level of the party for 20 years and still having enthusiasm to do it. Like that's where I am, and that's kind of my destiny, if you will, is to kind of be in this position and still be optimistic about it and still be able to make good art. Well, you talk about like, you know, being the 15-year-old self and the different selves and whatnot. And I have to wonder, is that an artist thing right there? Because it seems like there's so many people in this day and age that are, you know, moved on from that to become a dad with a job and the kids and the picket fence, and they're just so trapped up in this whole, this is where I'm at now, and there's no really turning back or looking back. And I've, as an artist as well, I'm relating to what you're saying right now and can feel what you're saying. And I have to wonder, is that just something that's the left brain, right brain thing? Or like, you know, I mean, is that I don't know. But
I don't think it's just an artist thing. I think it's an everyone thing, because you take anyone who seems like they have their shit together and you throw a really bad day at them, something triggering, and you'll see the 15-year-old self come out. You know? The old ways will peek its ugly head. Exactly. And I think that so maybe there is like a different degree of honesty or self-exploration that's happening. We certainly do a lot of self-exploration, both with our and in our daily lives, which, you know, is a huge part of the art.
For the folks listening, the band playing in the rehearsal space behind us is doing a pretty rad version of Bowie's Space Oddity right now. I'm getting into it.
There was something
Can
that
you hear
I was
me,
like,
Major Tom? Can you hear me?
Now, Moira, did you live in New Orleans with him at the time? Or was
didn't. No. So we've been together now for it's been almost 2 years. And that was before our time. Are
you born and raised Portland, Oregon girl, or
pretty much? Yeah, Pacific Northwest girl.
Okay. I love it up there.
And I did go to New Orleans with him. So when we ran away together, I went to visit him in New Mexico on a tour, and I wanted to go through Texas to New Orleans with him, and that's when we ran away together. I said, screw it, I'm not going back. So
how are your experiences out there? I gotta know. That's a place I've always wanted to go to.
Okay, well,
for sure. I mean, that's a music place.
Oh yeah,
that's
absolutely.
It's magical on
and you talking about
so many
the
levels.
voodoo aspect of things earlier, so it's like
the voodoo wop. Yeah. There's definitely has a. You want to? I don't want to cut you off.
Just gonna. I'll just finish. But so when we first went there together, it was Halloween.
Oh,
was
wow.
it 2016?
Yeah.
Halloween 2016. Okay. And
that's gotta be crazy.
It was overwhelming.
Yeah.
It was really overwhelming for me at the time, actually. And at that time, I couldn't imagine living there.
Yeah,
and I knew Dusty loved it there, and it totally freaked me out.
Yeah,
I was
there's
like,
a vibe there for
no way that I could keep my shit together in a town in a city like this.
Right.
And then we went back on this last tour, and I just totally fell in love with it and felt 100% like I was ready to move there. And that's just the difference of a year and a half.
For sure.
Of, the different experiences that I've had and the personal growth and
cool venues there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. There's so much going on there.
And then what kind of sightseeing did you guys do out there? Any cool experiences that you had out there as far as that goes?
We went to the swamp the first time we went there together. That was very charged.
I played a show at the Circle Bar, which is a cool bar in New Orleans, but it was on November 1st, the Day of the Dead. Yeah. And there was the
first time, yeah.
Yeah, the first time the first time we were there together. There's a choir in New Orleans. I forget what they're called right now, but they do a Day of the Dead parade because they do parades there all the time.
Right.
It's a really, really beautiful thing, though. It's a real sincere and really emotional thing because there is a lot of violence there. A lot of people lose their lives because of violence. A lot of people lose their lives because of drugs and alcohol. Just a lot of untimely deaths.
Right.
There's a lot of New Orleans has a high percentage of folks that get hit on bikes by drunk drivers, stuff like this. So this choir annually does a really beautiful tribute to the dead with the utmost sincerity, and they all have vigils and candles, and they go and sing really beautiful hymns, and people follow them, and the parade grows as it goes along.
Yeah, and you kind of learn the verses as they sing and join in, so the voices swell.
Yeah,
you can really feel what's happening inside of you when you join in.
And at the end of it, there is a pile of paper boats with candles in them, and you take the paper boat and you light the candle and you walk to the Mississippi River, and then what is the request?
Oh, you put something inside of the boat that you want to get out of yourself.
That's right. And then you light the candle and you push it down the Mississippi River, and it's a pretty beautiful sight. All of these paper boats going with candles lit on the river. It's kind of an ecological nightmare because then the paper goes in there. But but the Mississippi has a lot of stuff in it. But symbolically, it's a really cool.
Totally. Yeah.
So we did that.
It's a gesture.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
We did that in New Orleans.
And then so tell me about Oregon. I love that. I love it up there as well.
Yeah.
So 10 years you set up there?
Yeah, I played in a band called the Singing Knives in Portland for that whole time, and I like I was saying, I wanted nothing more in the world than to be a successful songwriter in this band and tour nationally and internationally, but I think that I was keeping kind of a cool profile. I was like, nah, I'm cool just playing music here and working my weird job at the grocery store. I don't know why. Yeah. Just the idea of being successful or making it or something.
Right.
It was like not cool or not punk rock for me
Right.
or something.
When you were up there, was this before the music explosion? I mean, it's a scene now, and it's
it
been
was
that way,
happening.
but-
It's a definite scene now, but it's
Yeah.
been happening since the 80s, you know?
Yeah.
There's
Same
been
in Seattle and all that. Yeah, for sure.
good
It's just-
stuff. I mean,
they have their moments, but
I met the owner of a few times. Moira and I know him. The guy who ran the club Satyricon, which is pretty famous up there. It's the place actually where Kurt Cobain met Courtney Love for the first time.
Oh, okay.
Really cool rock club.
is that where Modest Mouse is from? Correct or no?
Yep, Modest Mouse is from Portland.
Yeah,
yeah,
so I thought.
and Elliott Smith.
Yeah.
The list goes on. Let's
Yeah,
see
for
who
sure.
else. Everclear.
Okay. It's beautiful up there. I
The,
love it up there.
Dandy
Yeah.
Warhols.
Right.
So many, but yeah. I mean, what do I say about it? Great, really cool city. It was hard for me to find my rhythm there, though. It was I think I spent way too much time in the bottle and in the bars and just kind of like honest women and like
I was gonna say, and the women.
and the women. I was just kind of it took that time to figure some stuff out.
For sure. Yeah. As we all do.
Music scene is rad, and you know the Knives. We had an okay following. We did okay. We gigged pretty regularly, and we had some respect from some people, but
Yeah.
it never made a life out of it. You know, always had to have other jobs
Right.
and stuff like that, which is kind of that's just my focus now. It's just like my job is this, and it's got to work. It's got to work this somehow,
Right.
and it's always been out of like left field and from really weird circumstances. Like there's nothing steady about it, you know. But
Well, speaking
get
of
what you
moving
need.
forward, what do you guys? I hear you're regrouping. We're kind of getting ready to record again. Is that what the
Yeah.
plan is? What does the future hold?
well, we
A lot, we hope.
we
Yes,
met.
well, obviously.
But the soon future.
Yes, the immediate.
Yeah.
What game plan do we have here as we're
We want
back
to
in
do
Temecula
album
and
number 2, and we're going to use some of the generous donation we got from the patron to actually do publicity to get proper press, and kind of hunt out for a distributor.
Right.
Yeah,
we
that's
want-
something we need to do.
We're really into making the
Do we
records.
have ambition to do vinyl again this time and all that?
all the time.
We'd like
all the
to,
time.
right.
yeah, but we probably
In
won't
this
start with
digital
that.
age.
I think for right now, probably just getting the music
Recorded and
recorded,
Yes.
and so right now we're in the writing process,
So we have a
practicing.
stockade of some songs kind of going
refining.
already, and
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
we
still
came
writing
back.
and-
We came back from tour, and ideas just started kind of pouring out. Good
Yeah.
ideas
Great.
and
We were
different ideas than the first record. It's a much more.
Right.
The first record we kind of built well in the studio.
studio, yeah.
And there's a lot of instrumentation on it, but when we play live, it's just Moira on a.
you play the
Mod-
cocktail set thing, right? Kind of thing.
Kind
or-
of, yeah, it's a stand-up drum kit.
Right.
It's a real beefy
Yeah.
tom and snare. And
It's been modified.
Yeah, it's all arms only. It's
Right.
it's similar to the kit that the Butthole Surfers played in the the
right.
early incarnations. But so it's just her on those
Yeah.
drums and me on guitar with loops
What kind of guitar are
and
you
stuff.
playing these days still?
It is a Gooden hollow body, which I learned Gooden is Dutch for goddess,
Okay.
which is cool. And
a goddess, my
she is, yeah.
and it's got the humbucker pickups. So it's got a really kind of dirty resonance.
I was digging the sound on that last
Thank
time I
you.
saw you guys. So
cool.
Wasn't sure if that's the same git you were playing now or.
Yeah, that's kind of the one. That's the go-to. So anyway, the second album is going to be a lot closer to what we sound like live, and
more of that energy.
Yeah.
And I think we both really want to retain a raw element, you know.
For sure.
Avoid having anything be too produced. Like really get the songs refined right now and go into the studio and just play them and capture that essence without too
try
much.
doing the
Too many overdubs and
yeah.
tracking and whatnot.
Just almost a
little more
live
raw.
sound.
taking the
Cool.
taking what Tom Waits called the photographing a ghost approach
Yeah,
to,
yeah, yeah.
to recording, where it's just kind of
Capturing
like,
a moment.
yeah, that sort of thing, and what the moment is, that's like
Yeah.
that's what it is.
Right.
But the songs have to come through. So we're just trying our best to make them as interesting and as listenable and as yeah, this is as cool as we can, and then we'll do that. And probably we're just going to, we just want to play music for people. And so if there's anyone that wants to have shows and wants bands, please let us know. We want to perform, and
we'll be doing a short tour after we record. We'll be
More
an
local,
autumn tour. Well, we'll be going back up the West Coast.
Okay.
And then I think we're going to try to go over to New Mexico again after.
Yeah, it's nice up there,
because
too.
we love it there, and we had the best time in Taos, of course, Santa Fe, and Albuquerque. The whole state seemed to really dig what we were doing, and we dig them. So I think we'll try to get some dates out there.
We'd love to play a lot more local shows, but
we would.
It just seems to. I don't know if it seems to me like there's a lack of venues for the type of thing that we're trying to do. So that which is funny because I think that a venue that showcased up and coming bands and local bands like in Temecula, it would just be off the chain.
Yeah.
There's so many people that have that hunger for it. Like any business-minded people that are good with the actual politics of negotiating with the city and stuff like that. They could really make money like hand over foot here, and it can be a really good outlet for so many kids.
Well, I'm not sure how much research you guys have done into that end of things, but I feel like from what I've seen and heard from you guys, you're not that loud. You're not like too obnoxious with your vocals and lyrically and whatnot.
We are kind of loud, actually.
Here and there, but I mean,
we are kind of loud, which has been a problem for us in certain venues. Yeah,
being a two-piece, you're not as loud as a punk band or as loud as a 5-6-piece band.
We're a little bit though. I mean, we have a definite punk element.
Yeah, we're not playing Marshall half stacks or anything like that.
No, that's kind of what I mean. I mean, you guys aren't like. I would think that there'd be some spots for you guys.
I hope so. Yeah,
niche just for something that you guys have this vibe about you with what you're doing and being a two-piece and like
it's an easy setup.
I feel like there's a niche for it. I'm not sure how much investigating you've really done on that end, but I feel like being the local people, like there's something to be said for that, and I think that
we'll get there. Yeah. We've almost been like, I think because we started out feeling like, okay, we don't want to put down roots here.
Yeah, right.
We just kept booking outward, looking and booking outward, and booking these tours. So we don't have a lot of connections locally. We're developing more in San Francisco, and I think it is far. Yeah, we may have a show early next month in San Diego.
I think it's great that you guys are touring because there's a lot of bands that do get stuck here that are local guys and they don't know they don't have the balls to take it out on
or
their
the
own.
ovaries.
And that's great that you guys are the opposite. You guys are like, you've taken it out and you've done all that, and you've kind of shunned a little bit more of this area to explore. Yeah. And that's where it's at. I mean, that's where the life experiences are. Right. Traveling. I mean, me and my wife, we love to travel. Cool. And
we
her more than me. She pulls me a little bit towards it, and I'm hesitant to do so. But once we get out, I love it. And so these places that you guys mentioned, some of them we've been to, some of them I've never been to, and I would love to at some point. So that's awesome.
Probably
you guys are able to,
thank you,
hand in hand, the music, but also just life experience of seeing things. And there's so many. Think about the places you've seen that there's 80-year-olds that have never seen. Quarter of the places.
Believe
they just
me, we do.
live their little life, and you guys are so lucky and fortunate to be able to have this life. I mean,
you're absolutely
how
right.
successful is not really. There's a meter for that, and I don't know where that all.
Well,
you're successful in your own
relative.
right. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's in the eye of the beholder. So
it really,
you guys are successful in the sense that you've done it so DIY and
Cool thing about traveling is like when thank you very much. The more you travel, though, the more you learn that it's interesting. It's a funny kind of like dichotomy because you do it and then you realize like, oh, I'm doing this, but really it's like it's not necessary. Like it really is like where you are internally, and you can kind of live your whole 80 years in one small town and probably have just as much wisdom and just as much experience as anybody that's traveled the world if you look at it the right way, I think. And
Maybe.
but for me, like I have to travel to learn that.
I think, I don't know if it's possible. I mean, I definitely hear where you're coming from, because what I thought you were going to say is like traveling. Was it Alan Moore who we were kind of cracking up on his his take about staying in the same place his whole life? But
Alan Moore, the comic artist.
The comic guy, the Watchmen guy.
He's never left. He's lived in the same small town in England his whole life. And he's against traveling because he's like, I don't remember what he said, but it's kind of like how he learns about the culture of the world through that one town. And he does beautiful work.
He just really pays attention. And I think that maybe that is possible. I think it takes a really special person though to be able to get as much out of that. For me, I found that a wider perspective was absolutely necessary.
Totally.
And it's been really helpful, and it's actually helped me. You know, I've taken it back here.
Yeah, well, I mean, it gives you perspective to have appreciation for a lot of,
completely.
You know, for sure.
Yeah, it really does. And also just, I think it's really important to see how other people live. But yeah, you're right. That could be the family down the street, you know?
Yeah.
I think just as long as we're like being open to learning new things, seeing how other people do things, challenging our perceptions, staying curious, remembering that we don't know everything. You know,
we're human.
These things are these things are important to be reminded of.
I want to give a shout out to the Temecula cinemas and just gently suggest that y'all should start having bands play there again.
Yeah, we were getting pretty excited about that idea the other day.
I'm calling you.
Yeah, we will literally call you soon.
Yeah, man. Anything else you want to?
I'll tell the people where they can find us on the internets. So
please do. I'm also gonna post it, but
cool. Okay.
From this mouth.
From this horse's mouth.
That's right.
So we're on Instagram and Facebook. We don't do the Twitter.
Okay.
But you can look us up at Voodoo It Yourself or at Dusty and Moira, both on Instagram and Facebook. We also have a Patreon that we haven't really been telling people about.
Oh, great.
But I think that's at Dusty and Moira too. We're not really that hard to find. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And we're really hoping to play some local shows here in the Valley too. So if anyone's hearing this and has a wild hair to throw a party or something, please, and they're interested in having us, please, we'd love to play. We'd love to play out here.
Yeah,
well, they'll be able to contact me or you.
Cool.
And as we get closer to an air day, I will be getting contact with you guys to, promote whatever shows you have coming up, artwork that you're displaying, any of that good stuff. We're gonna throw all that up, and that'll be as well on my Facebook and Instagram, and people will be able definitely to find you guys.
To click on some links.
We're gonna put it out there for you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for having us.
Yeah, man, that's a lot of fun, and congrats on congrats on the twins, and congrats on the podcast. It's super cool.
Yeah, it is
super cool that you're doing it.
I really appreciate you guys doing this, and there will be more to come. So we'll have a lot more in the future.
All right.
Yeah,
and,
I look forward to hearing.
The beginning of something for sure. Feel it in my bones.
It's important. This place needs it.
Yeah.
Wait, what? Do you have a name for the podcast yet?
It's coming.
Okay.
I had a name, but we may be changing it. So
okay, cool.
By the time this airs, there will be a name. That's for sure. We're in the very beginning works of all of this here. So that will all be
an important decision.
Yes, right.
It certainly is.
So as of now, I have my own production company. I've started Vibratory Productions.
Cool.
And that's all up and running here.
Cool.
So once again, thank you guys so much for coming down. I really appreciate you giving me your time, and
likewise.
Keep on rocking. Keep the good fighting there, and love the talk. Thank you so much.
Yeah, cool. Thank you, dude.
All right, guys.
Back at ya.
All right. All right. Well, that was a wonderful conversation sitting down with some local talent here again. Dusty Santamaria+Moira Ichiban. You can find them bandcamp.com. They're dustyandmoira.bandcamp.com. They have an Instagram, and their handle with that would be Voodoo It's Yourself on Instagram. On Facebook, they're under Dusty and Moira. Dusty Santamaria and Moira Ichiban, I'm sorry, on Facebook. They are also on artistecard.com. And you can check out their first album, Love Under Will, from 2018 on any one of those things, social media there. Dusty and Moira are currently working on their second album, slated for an early 2019 release, and have begun a West Coast tour here in early September. They have a few more shows here this month, 22nd, Nahelum Pool, the 23rd, Turn. They're playing up in Seattle, Washington at Connor Barn Pub on the 26th. So they have a few shows left, and very exciting to sit down and talk with these guys. Really appreciate that local talent coming in, sharing their stories, sharing good times, bad times that we all know is privy to the inside scoop on what bands go through. We do have the code word for the second annual Sunday Fun Day free event happening this Sunday, September 30th. Code word is Sparkle. So make sure to hop on over to the Instagram and Facebook and message at Erica the Piercer the word Sparkle to get the clues for the scavenger hunt. Really appreciate all my listeners checking in for the second episode here, giving a listen. As I've said in the past, if you listen hard enough, you open your hearts and your ears, you may learn something, you may laugh, you may cry. Always a ride here at the Krooked Hearts podcast. So shout out to Brian down there at the recording studio where we do our episodes. Give a shout out to Brian if you have any need for rehearsal or recording. He's on Facebook, he's on Instagram, or you can just give him a call. Definitely a shout out to my editor, my main man, Andrew Gongor, for all his help. It's been great having a team effort here going on with the Krooked Hearts podcast. So very excited about the next episode coming, and we are out.